timely and truly productive summit. A few months ago, Prime Minister, you spoke of your ambition to reset the relationship between the United Kingdom and the European Union. Today, I'm proud to say we together have delivered on that ambition. You succeeded, we all succeeded. The agreements we have reached today mark not just progress, but a new chapter in the relationship between the United Kingdom and the European Union, the start of a renewed and strengthened strategic partnership. Over the past months, we have worked tirelessly to rebuild trust. As we discussed during my visit to Downing Street in December, in an increasingly volatile world, deeper collaboration between like-minded partners, natural allies like us, is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Then back in February, I invited you to join the European Union 27 leaders at a retreat in Brussels to discuss defense matters. There, I felt a new positive energy in our relationship. I saw the great potential of what we can accomplish together to make real, tangible progress for the people of the European Union and the United Kingdom. Since then, we have worked hand in hand to support Ukraine, to increase pressure on Russia, to stabilize and strengthen the transatlantic partnership, and to uphold international law and defending the United Nations Charter amid growing security threats. We have been proud of the fruits of that collective effort. A joint statement on cooperation on global issues, a security on defense partnership, and a common understanding and a renewed agenda for cooperation. These agreements represent more than just words on paper. They are a reflection of our shared commitments to security, to prosperity, to development, and to the people we serve on both sides of the channel. Our relationship is grounded in shared values, mutual interests, and the simple fact of our geographical closeness. We are neighbors, allies, partners, and we are friends. Times are changing. The rules-based international order is under attack. Multilateralism is being tested, and the European Union and the United Kingdom are providers of global stability. We must be guardians of the rules-based global order. Europe faces gravest security threat in decades, provoked by Russia's brutal war of aggression against Ukraine. But both the United Kingdom and the European Union are united in one belief. We share a fundamental responsibility for the security of Europe. That is why we are committed to continue our efforts together to achieve a comprehensive, just, and lasting peace in Ukraine. A peace that guarantees Ukraine's independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. The ball is now in Russia's court. Together, we will intensify pressure on President Putin, including through a new package of sanctions, to bring him to the negotiation table. Russia must agree to an unconditional ceasefire. It must stop being a threat to Ukraine and to European security. On defense, our new partnership will bring deeper cooperation. It will strengthen Europe's contribution to NATO, and it will sharpen our focus on common strategic priorities. On trade, we are united in our commitment to economic stability. We both believe in free trade, fair, sustainable, and open, as the engine of prosperity for our citizens and for the global economy. On migration, we will work together to reduce irregular flows and to strengthen cooperation with countries of origin and transit. And finally, today, we also address the situation in the Middle East. In particular, we addressed the tragic humanitarian crisis in Gaza, a tragedy where international law is being systematically violated and an entire population is subjected to disproportionate military force. There must be safe, swift, and unimpeded access to humanitarian aid. The remaining hostage must be unconditionally released, and the permanent ceasefire must be reached now. Our discussion reaffirmed our shared conviction that lasting peace and security in the Middle East can only be achieved through the implementation of the two-state solution. Prime Minister, dear Keir, your leadership has been instrumental in turning ambition into action. Today's agreements are a testament to your determination and to the new tone you have brought to our relationship. The United Kingdom and the European Union are stronger when we stand together for prosperity, for security, and for peace in Europe and beyond. This is the message that underpins our renewed cooperation. This is the direction we are taking together after this successful summit, which will be just the first of many, because, as we have agreed today, from now on, the European Union and the United Kingdom will meet every year. So, we see you last week in Brussels. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Antonio. Thank you for your words. But my dear Keir, this is a historic moment because it is the first ever EU-UK summit, and it is a success. And this is also thanks to your leadership. And I really want to thank you for the leadership, because it's not only about the summit, a day where we are here now in London, but it's all these weeks and months of preparation and hard work to get to the excellent result that we have. We're turning a page. We're opening a new chapter in our unique relationship. This is the story of historical and natural partners standing side by side on the global stage, facing most of the same challenges, pursuing the same objectives, like-minded, sharing the same values, and thus we are looking for solutions that are beneficial for both our people and standing shoulder by shoulder when it comes to really getting to the solutions. I want to have a look at the common understanding, which is basically the roadmap that we have agreed on to follow now after this summit. First, we have concluded our security and defense partnership. This will boost our cooperation in security and defense initiatives. There are lots of topics covered. For example, on the defense industry, but also military mobility, peace building, crisis management, or the countering of hybrid threats, just to name a few. And this is the first step towards UK participation in Europe's defense investment program. We call it SAFE. It's 150 billion euros of loans for joint procurement, and this security and defense partnership opens the door towards the joint procurement. We need another second step, but this joint procurement we've discussed will increase our readiness, will close military gaps that we have, and will increase, that's of most importance, our interoperability when our armed forces are going on missions together. It will create new opportunities, of course, for our defense industries, and, as I said, open the option for stronger, more coordinated support also for Ukraine. That's important either through joint procurement of military capabilities that then are brought to Ukraine, or for direct investment in Ukraine's defense industry. This is against the backdrop that we stand united behind Ukraine's fight for survival and that we're strongly committed to a full and unconditional ceasefire leading to a just and lasting peace in Ukraine. My second point is that I want to speak about what lies at the heart of our partnership, and that's the people. Millions of families and friendships are on both sides of the channel. I am thinking back of my times as a student here in London, and from that experience I know the first place abroad you go when you're a young person, it's an impression for life. You fall in love with the city and the country, and for the rest of your life you are the best ambassador for this country. Therefore, I'm so glad that we have agreed that we will have Erasmus Plus for young people and that we will work towards a youth experience scheme. It's just about this experience. This will allow the next generation to once again live and study in each other's countries, and this will build friendships that will last a lifetime. Turning to what connects us further, that is the topic energy and joint climate goals. Today, we have decided to explore the UK participation in the EU's electricity market. It's good for the stability of energy flows. It is good for our common energy security, because we know that a bigger market will also be good for lowering the energy prices, and it will attract more private investment because of the regulatory stability and predictability that is there to tap into the vast potential that the North Sea offers, specifically for renewable, cheap, and homegrown energy. In addition, we're both committed to leading by example on the path to net zero. And that's why we've also agreed to work towards linking our emission trading system. A larger integrated system is a big step forward in decarbonization and creates a level playing field. Today, we also decided to facilitate trade flows of agri-food products between us and to work towards a common sanitary and phytosanitary area. That means more certainty, more stability for farmers and food producers and fishermen and fisherwomen on both sides of the channel, safer food with greater trust from the consumers, and together with the Windsor framework, this will also bring additional benefits for Northern Ireland. It will further ease the movement of agri-food goods between Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and Northern Ireland will continue to enjoy dual access to both the EU single market and the UK internal market. And in addition, it's a lot, but we have agreed on. In addition, we have reached an agreement on fisheries, ensuring reciprocal access to waters until 2038. This is so important for long-term stability and predictability. And we have agreed to preserve the historic tariff-free trade in steel products. Steel is a vital sector for both our industries, so this decision is great news. Finally, I'm coming to an end. On justice and migration, we're stepping up our cooperation to keep our citizens safe. That means more joint operational work, especially through Europol, and seamless exchange of information. Because as we all know, crime doesn't stop at borders, neither should our response. On illegal migration, we are joining forces to crack down on smugglers and traffickers. This is organized crime. Our goal is clear. We want to protect our borders and prevent further tragedies. We're also stepping up, therefore, our joint cooperation with third countries. As you know, we on the European Union side have made this one of our priorities, and we welcome that the UK is joining us in this effort. Dear Keir, what we have agreed today is historic. It will make a real difference to people in the UK and across our union. But the message we are sending to the world today is equally, if not more important. It is a message that at a time of global instability, and when our continent faces the greatest threat it has for generations, we in Europe stick together. A strong EU-UK relationship is of fundamental importance for that, for our security, for our prosperity, for our shared destiny on this continent. And this is what it's all about today. So I want to thank you for hosting us. It was a great summit, and thank you very much for your leadership.
Well, thank you, Ursula. Thank you, Antonio, for your words, and thank you for your leadership on this as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Britain is back on the world stage, working with our partners, doing deals that will grow our economy, and putting more money in the pockets of working people. In the last 2 weeks alone, we've delivered trade deals with India and the US. And that means jobs saved, jobs created, more growth, and a huge vote of confidence in this country. It shows that as global instability is rising, the decisions that we've taken to stabilize the economy and lead the way internationally have made Britain a place where people want to do business once again. And from that position of strength, today we have struck this landmark deal with the EU, a new partnership between an independent Britain and our allies in Europe. This is the first UK-EU summit. It marks a new era in our relationship. And this deal is a win-win. It delivers what the British public voted for last year. It gives us unprecedented access to the EU market, the best of any country outside of the EU or EFTA, all while sticking to the red lines in our manifesto about not rejoining the single market, the customs union, and no return to freedom of movement. So this deal is good for both sides. And let me set out why it is good for Britain. We've struck an SPS deal to make food and agricultural trade with the EU cheaper and easier. And that is slashing red tape and bureaucracy. And that means lower food prices at checkouts, more choice in our supermarkets, and of course more money in people's pockets. It will boost British exporters because once again, after a long absence, we'll be able to sell great British burgers, shellfish, and other products into the EU. We've also struck a new defence and security partnership to strengthen our cooperation and strengthen our security, which is vital in this dangerous new era. And it will open the door to working with the EU's new defence fund, providing new opportunities for our defence industry, supporting British jobs and livelihoods. We're also increasing our cooperation on emissions trading, saving UK businesses from having to pay £800 million in EU carbon taxes. Once again, supporting British businesses, backing British jobs. Next, we're increasing our cooperation on energy to drive down bills in the long term. The agreement negotiated by the last government left us with more expensive ways of working with our neighbours, despite being physically connected to the European grid by our underseas cables. Today's deal will see us work to bring these systems together again, benefiting bill payers and boosting our renewable industry in the North Sea. Today's deal is also good for British steel, protecting our steel exports from new EU tariffs, saving the industry £25 million every year. Another example of this government backing our steel sector to the hilt. We've reached a deal today on fish, protecting our access, rights and fishing areas, with no increase in the amount that EU vessels can catch in British waters. Our fishing industry will also benefit from the new SPS agreement, which slashes costs and red tape for our exports into the European market. And we already sell 70% of our seafood into that market. So that is really significant. It is also opening the gates to selling shellfish back into the EU. And I can also announce today that we're investing £360 million into our fishing industry to help them take advantage of this deal. we've acted today to strengthen our borders. The previous deal left a huge gap in our ability to work together to tackle illegal migration. So this deal closes that gap so we can work across migration routes to end the migration crisis and smash the criminal gangs. We're boosting our cooperation on law enforcement, combating terrorism and serious organised crime, with better sharing of intelligence and data, including facial imaging, for the first time. Today's deal will also help British holidaymakers, as we're confirming that they will be able to use e-gates when they travel to Europe, ending those huge queues at passport control. And I call on all EU members to help make this a reality without delay. Finally, we've agreed today to cooperate on a youth experience scheme to allow our young people to travel and work freely in Europe. And I'm clear this will come with all the appropriate time limits, caps, and visa requirements. So it's a long list. It shows just how much we've achieved here today. Real benefits for the British people. Because it's time to look forward. It's time to move on from the stale old debates and political fights to focus on delivering common sense, practical solutions which get the best for the British people. We're ready to work with all our partners, wherever it means we can improve people's lives here at home. And that's what this deal is all about. Facing out to the world once again, in the great tradition of this nation, building the relationships we choose with the partners we choose, and closing deals in the national interest. Thank you. We'll now take some questions from the media, and I think I've got the list. I think we're going to go to the UK media first, and then to the European media. I've got Chris Mason, BBC first, please. Chris.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Chris Mason, BBC News. To be clear, Prime Minister, isn't the truth that you've sold out the fishermen for what you see as the greater good? And a question to the European Union, to President von der Leyen. This deal involves the UK becoming an EU rule taker, which some people here really don't like. Are you pleased to have the UK back within the EU's orbit? Thank you.
Chris, let me go first. Firstly, the focus, the driving principles of the comprehensive set of arrangements we've agreed today is about bills, it's about jobs, and it's about borders. They're the driving principles. And the SPS zone cuts away a huge amount of red tape for businesses and the way that we trade. It is incredibly important for fish because over 70% of our seafood goes into the European market. So for the first time under this arrangement, our fishing communities are able to sell more easily into the European market. As I say, 70% goes into that market. The length of time for the agreement provides the stability because what would have happened next year is we would have come off the current arrangements, but then into year-on-year negotiations where nobody knows year-on-year where they stand. This gives stability in relation to that. It also opens the door for shellfish and the like to be sold back into the European market, which wasn't available before this deal. And of course, we've announced the £360 transformation fund. So what this goes with is that access on a permanent basis, the SPS agreement on a permanent basis for our fishermen and fisherwomen in our fishing communities into that market. Huge amount of their stock goes into this. So this is good for fishing.
Yes, on your question on rules. Because the United Kingdom is a sovereign country, it can take agreements like this one, develop agreements like this one. And of course, whenever we have an agreement among us, we define together what the rules are, how we will act together on a specific topic. So it shows the sovereignty of a country by being able to take agreements like this one here today.
Thank you. Let me go to Robert Peston, ITV. Robert.
Hello, Prime Minister. Robert Peston, ITV. You've just been listening to the British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, alongside the European Council President, Antonio Costa, and the European Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen, on this historic landmark summit. They're the first between the UK and the EU since Brexit 5 years ago.